Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskachati Satarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Radhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Well, we will have a little light reading here today from the Bhagavad Gita. As it is, by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we're light reading. We'll read the universal form. Krishna. Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Krishna 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 Krishna. Lakshmi Narayan, Lakshmi Narayan, Lakshmi Narayan. It's chapter 11 in the Bhagavad Gita as it is. Arjuna Uvacha Mad Anugrahaya Paramam Guyam Agyatma Samnitam Yat Tvavyoktam Pachastena Mohayam Vigato Mama. Arjuna said, I've heard your instructions on confidential spiritual matters, which, you have so kindly delivered unto me, and my illusion is now dispelled. Krishna. Prabhupada's purport. This chapter reveals Krishna as the cause of all causes. He is even the cause of the Mahavishnu, and from him the material universes emanate. Krishna is not an incarnation, he is the source of all incarnations. That has been completely explained in the last chapter. Now, as far as Arjuna is concerned, he says that his illusion is over. This means that Arjuna no longer thinks of Krishna as a mere human being, as a friend of his, but as the source of everything. Arjuna is very enlightened and is glad that he has a great friend like Krishna. But now he is thinking that although he may accept Krishna as the source of everything, others may not. So in order to establish Krishna as the source of everything, he is requesting Krishna in this chapter to show his universal form. Actually, when one sees the universal form of Krishna, one becomes frightened, like Arjuna. But Krishna is so kind that after showing it, he converts himself again into his original form. Arjuna agrees to what Krishna says several times. Krishna is speaking to him just for his benefit, and Arjuna acknowledges that all this is happening to him by Krishna's grace. He is now convinced that Krishna is the cause of all causes and is present in everyone's heart as the super soul. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama. So Arjuna, he's sitting on the chariot with his friend, Krishna. And Krishna is convincing him has convinced him, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, completely transcendental to the material world. He's the source of everything, but he's appearing because he has something to do. Hare Krishna, protect his devotees and the pious and annihilate the miscreants. And he wants Arjuna to help him do that. Arjuna's service to do that. Even though it goes against Arjuna's moral compass. Arjuna doesn't feel right about killing. He has to kill some family members. And very advanced devotees who acted as teachers, advanced acharyas who acted as teachers, his teachers, but they're on the wrong side of what needs to be done for the well-being of everyone and Krishna's mission. So, but he's convinced now. But then he asks Krishna to reveal this very fearsome, overwhelming, awesome, really not any fun form of Krishna, his universal form, for the benefit of others, so that they might not take Krishna as an ordinary person. Hare Krishna. Hey, Hare Krishna. Text 2. Bhavapyayo hi bhutanam shruto vishtara somaya tvata kamala patraksha mahatnyam api chavyayam. O Lotus-eyed one, I have heard from you in detail about the appearance and disappearance of every living entity as realized through your inexhaustible glories. Prabhupada's purport. Arjuna addresses Lord Krishna as lotus-eyed. Krishna's eyes appear just like the petals of a lotus flower. So he addresses Lord Krishna as lotus-eyed out of his joy, for Krishna has assured him in the last verse of the previous chapter that he sustains the entire universe with just a fragment of himself. He is the source of everything in this material manifestation, and Arjuna has heard of this from the Lord in detail. Arjuna further knows that in spite of his being the source of all appearances and disappearances, he is aloof from them. His personality is not lost. Although he is all-pervading, his personality is not lost. That is the inconceivable opulence of Krishna, which Arjuna admits he has thoroughly understood. So although Krishna is all-pervading, his personality is not lost. So he's the all-pervading supreme personality of Godhead. He's all-pervading, but his personality remains intact. He's Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. And in spite of being the source of all appearances and disappearances, he's aloof from them. He's not affected by appearances and disappearances. Hare Krishna, he's not influenced by the material comings and goings. Evam etad yatata tvam atmanam parameshvara drastum ichami te rupam aishvaram purushottama. O greatest of all personalities, O supreme form, though I see here before me your actual position, I yet wish to see how you have entered into this cosmic manifestation. I want to see that form of yours. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Prabhupada. The Lord said that because he entered into the material universe by his personal representation, the cosmic manifestation has been made possible and is ongoing. Now, as far as Arjuna is concerned, he is inspired by the statements of Krishna. But in order to convince others in the future who may think that Krishna is an ordinary person, he desires to see him actually in his universal form, to see how he is acting from within the universe, although he's apart from it. That's a little puzzling. I always have these weird questions. He's sitting with Arjuna. Krishna and Arjuna are sitting on the chariot. And he's having these private moments with Krishna. So how is it he's asking these things for the benefit of others? When he's sitting there in a private moment with Krishna, how is that benefiting others? That's my question. I have a lot of questions no one seems to ask or even try to answer. So how is that? He's sitting with Krishna, and he's convinced, but he's asking questions for the benefit of others. What others? I mean, yes, us, but does he know that Sanjaya is remote viewing this conversation, and that Vyasadeva is compiling it, or who compiled Bhagavad Gita anyway? Was it Vyasadeva? Yeah, because it's in the middle of Mahabharata. Does Arjuna know all of that? How is his sitting there asking Krishna questions benefiting for the benefit of others? Does Arjuna know that we'll be hearing this conversation 5,000 years later? Does he know that? Anyway, I just wonder about that. Arjuna asking the Lord's permission is also significant, since the Lord is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is present within Arjuna himself. Therefore, he knows the desire of Arjuna, and he can understand that Arjuna has no special desire to see him in his universal form, for he is completely satisfied to see him in his personal form of Krishna. But he can understand also that Arjuna wants to see the universal form to convince others. How is he going to convince others? After he sees the universal form, he's going to run through the streets telling everyone, look, I just saw this form of Krishna. How is his seeing Krishna in the universal form, how is anybody even going to know? How does Arjuna know anyone will ever? Anyway, these are my questions. He did not have any personal desire for confirmation. Krishna also understands that Arjuna wants to see the universal form to set a criterion, for in the future there would be so many impostors who would pose themselves as incarnations of God. The people therefore should be careful. One who claims to be Krishna should be prepared to show his universal form to confirm his claim to the people. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I actually think these are significant questions, because to get some clarity on them, some vision on this, would give a lot more depth of understanding to the actual transcendental nature of Arjuna and Krishna, and how things are working in the spiritual world in relationship to Krishna. I'd love to have some discussion on this point about Krishna, about Arjuna asking the question for others. When there isn't anybody else there, it's just him and Krishna. Anyway, text 4. Reading these scriptures raises more questions, really, sometimes than, anyway, Hare Krishna. Text 4. Manya se yadita chakyam maya drastum iti prabho yogeshvara tato me tvam darshayat manam avyayam. If you think, then I am able to behold your cosmic form, O my Lord, O Master of all mystic power, then kindly show me that universal form. Krishna, Prabhupada. It is said that one can neither see, hear, understand, nor perceive the Supreme Lord Krishna by the material senses. But if one is engaged in loving transcendental service to the Lord from the beginning, then one can see the Lord by revelation. Revelation obviously comes from the root to reveal, revelation. Every living entity is only a spiritual spark. Therefore, it is not possible to see or to understand the Supreme Lord. Okay, so the idea there is that because the living entity is so small, they can't possibly comprehend the Supreme Lord who's unlimited. So every living entity is only a spiritual spark. Therefore, it is not possible to see or to understand the Supreme Lord. Arjuna, as a devotee, does not depend on his speculative strength. Rather, he admits his limitations as a living entity and acknowledges Krishna's inestimable position. Arjuna could understand that for a living entity it is not possible to understand the unlimited infinite. If the infinite reveals himself, then it is possible to understand the nature of the infinite by the grace of the infinite. The word Yogeshwar is also very significant here, because the Lord has inconceivable power. If he likes, he can reveal himself by his grace, although he is unlimited. Therefore, Arjuna pleads for the inconceivable grace of Krishna. He does not give Krishna orders. Krishna is not obliged to reveal himself to anyone unless one surrenders fully in Krishna consciousness and engages in devotional service. Thus, it is not possible for persons who depend on the strength of their mental speculations to see Krishna. Why? Too small. Just a little spark. So no matter how much you fire that little spark up, it's still just a little spark. And it cannot comprehend the unlimited infinite. Just too small. But by undivided devotional service, Krishna can reveal himself. The little spark tunes up to undivided devotional service, then Krishna reveals himself. But it's not by any other means. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. Text 5. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Pasyame Patarupani Sata Sosta Sahasrasa Nana Vidhani Divyani Nana Varna Kritini Cha. The Blessed Lord said. It's an interesting phrase, Blessed Lord. And there's been a lot of discussion about maybe editing that out and just saying the Supreme Personality of Godhead said. But Blessed Lord, what is that? Actually, how do they... Blessed Lord, I wonder if there's a definition. Look at the word blessed, you think you know what it means. And what does it mean? What is the biblical definition of blessed? Blessed Lord, a favor or gift bestowed by God. Madhusudana. Hey, Shakti, Shirley, Haribol. Krishna, reading about the universal form. Madhusudana's got a little note here. He says, Arjuna, us in our human form, with all our doubts, worries, and habits, he represents you, and I, as we stand on the battlefield of life,